Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks so much for joining in. Today, we're going to be talking about how to recession-proof your agencies. Ultimately, really emergency meeting that Eddie and I really kind of wanted to have, as we're going into Q4. Obviously, businesses, it starts to get a little bit more crazy, hectic with things to do. But I don't know about you guys. The past really 2 years have been madness across the board. And so we really wanted to talk about some of the strategies that we've been using in our agencies that have really allowed us to grow quite a bit. And so for the next few minutes, if you stick around here, we're going to be talking about how to really decide the right agency model for you. There's several different types of ways to run an agency, which I think sometimes in our space, people are pressured to be one type of agency versus another. And so we want to talk about both of the models that we've really seen, how to choose the right one. We want to talk about the 3 game modes that we really like to use inside of our agencies, that really, if you can understand these game modes, you can go into any kind of economic environment and it really helps you out. And then we want to talk about optimizing your profit machine. Agencies, are really great businesses as far as cash flow. For most people, that is what it is. It is a great cash flow vehicle. But as you scale, you start to hit different milestones and different challenges that ultimately it can become very easy to get bloated in the agency space. And then the single best way to recession-proof your agency and really kind of leapfrog the biggest obstacles that, Eddie and I have really discovered, and been many of the top agency guys that we've really talked with and collaborated with. How do you kind of avoid those mistakes? So ultimately, that's where we're headed today. Now, your hosts introducing, me right off the bat. Introducing me. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ashton Shanks. I'm the CEO of the Heman Group. Right now, we're kind of a portfolio of companies. I have a recruiting company, an agency that's doing north of 500K a month, holistically across the board. We're in the 8-figure mark. And really what we focus on is direct response advertising. Then we have a media buyer recruiting company. And then we have some info companies. I recently became the CEO of Traffic and Funnels and Sales Mentor. I've wrapped those companies up, launched a new one in the last 30 days. And we just hit 800 subscribers on the back end of that. So that was pretty sick.
Let's go, big dog.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Okay, can we get a congrats in the chat to Ashton for being the CEO of Traffic and Funnels? For anyone that's been a marketer for the last 5 to 10 years, you guys know that's an insane achievement. Can we just get some congrats here?
Thank you. Thank you.
The man just put an entire company on his back while also doing it for his own company. Like, let's put some respect.
True that. Oh, I guess a little bit of importance about, size, team. So revenues across the company, 8 figures. Team right now is 52 full-time staff and pretty much all domestic full-time here in the US. That's me. Eddie.
What's up, baby? I'll give a quick intro on myself. If you guys don't know me, you should. Okay. No, real talk. 2 years ago, I was in my basement. You guys can, cross-check this. Working, we had a team of 2 people, just me, my partner, and my wife was helping here and there. Here I am 2 years later, over 200 hires, 95 active employees, an 8-figure company. And I guess that's all you really need to know at this point. All this is in the marketing space. We work with some of the biggest names. And I have seen personal $1 million days in our businesses. And I'm going to show you kind of what we've done to pivot here today to be able to kind of achieve that over the last 90 days. So that you guys can start shifting your framework as we go into a stronger recession. We got a little taste of it during COVID. And depending on what industry you were in, you were either hit or you were boosted. I think the recession is going to be a very similar play here. And we're going to get into some details of exactly how we're pivoting as well. So super excited that you guys are on this call.
Yeah, again, leave it to Eddie also being very humble. If you guys already know, if you know Eddie at all, the dude's a monster. Has an international office that they've acquired in the last year. The dude you have over 100 staff now. Is that right?
No, right under.
Guys, listen.
Look, what's more impressive is you're doing it with 50. You know what I mean?
Okay, but listen, but think about it. 90 days ago, I had 106 full-time staff.
Fair enough.
I now have 52.
Which we'll talk about today.
So, dude's a killer, doing massive things. Let's dive in. I'm freaking pumped.
Cool. So let me talk about the 2 kinds of agencies. I want to get an idea of what you guys think you have as well. So as I start talking about them, I want you guys to kind of drop in the chat which one you are, one or the other. So if you jump to the next one real quick. So two kinds of agencies here. First one's called a mill. So this is kind of like, this terminology comes from like attorneys, lawyers. They're very similar businesses to us, right? They're professionals doing very high level work for their clientele. Mill's very high volume. This is probably a lot of the ways that some of you guys were introduced into a marketing agency. You know, $1,500, $2,000 retainers, a bunch of VAs, pumping out numbers, very, very high volume, very high use of automation, minimal management. That's a mill. That's great for cash flow. That's great for not having to manage. The problem is you're not going to be able to reach some very, very high level clientele. So it's a pros and cons here. And you got to be really good at customer acquisition. If you don't, it's going to be a pretty tough game to scale. The point of the mill is you can run that thing on autopilot, right? Second kind of agency is a boutique, right? So thank you. 3 Degrees, you're a boutique. I see a lot of boutiques in the chat. Let me know if there's any mills in the chat. Boutiques, higher retainers, lower volume, higher skill set. This requires very, very intense talent, very high payroll per person. There's pros and cons to each. I see a lot of boutiques. I'm pretty surprised. Okay, pretty 50-50 mills and boutiques in the chat. So that being said, now that you guys have kind of answered my next question, what kind of agencies do you have? I want you to ask yourself, is it the same one that you want? So just kind of think about that for a second. If you have a mill, is a mill really what you want? If you have a boutique, is that really what you want? You know what I mean? A boutique's probably going to require a lot more of your attention. A mill is going to require less, but the boutique, you're going to be playing in a different ball game than maybe the people that are playing in the mill. So,
and I think there's a big caveat here too, guys, to think, you know, we have to take our marketer caps off when we're having this conversation, because this conversation right here has nothing to do with which one is better versus which one, you know, is worse, right? Because we're not marketers in this situation. We are business owners. If you look at some of the best marketers of all time, some of the best copywriters, the Gary Halperts, right? The Paris Lampropoulos, these guys are not business owners because they can't be. They're not good business owners. They're great marketers. So when you think about mill and you think about boutique, in my opinion, and Eddie, I don't know if you agree with this, in my opinion, you go the direction that you know you can better perfect as a business owner, not which one can you do better as a marketer.
Agreed. And that brings me kind of to the next thing. I see some questions. Can you have both? Yes. So I'll tell you, in our case, we have both. We have a mill, which is our automotive department. Okay. So you guys probably seen me talk about it, run ads about it, whatever the case is. But on that side, I've spent literally 30 minutes a month, and maybe that's an exaggeration. It might be less than that on that business. It does 6 figures a month, and it just runs on $1,500 to $2,000 retainers, mostly VAs, very low staff, 50% margins. It runs itself. That's my mill. At the same time, I have a boutique, which is what I run all the ads for, which is where I talk about at events, the higher level stuff. This is where I'm trying to get clients at $15,000, $20,000 a retainer. And I'll kind of talk a little bit more on it later. But as of now, I've restructured some agreements. One client alone next month is going to be paying us $300,000 in a retainer. That's just one client. You can imagine the profit margins on that. So that is the upside of a boutique. That being said, I'm paying people on my team $20,000, $30,000 a month to run that team that gets that $300,000 retainer. So there are pros and cons here, right? So I personally like to start with a mill, build up cash flow, which is what I did, and then use that cash flow to invest in higher level talent for a boutique, right? And we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. So here's kind of a timeline of an 8-figure agency. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we're going to break them down step by step. And I don't want to bore you guys here because this isn't the point of the call. I just want you to kind of understand what happens at each point. Go back for me. Yeah. What happens at each point and what the next point looks like. So we're going to walk through these depending on where you are. I'm going to list them and you're going to be like, this is exactly what I'm going through. These are exact problems I'm going through right now. And be aware not only of the problems that you need to solve based on what we see, but the next stages as well, right? Yep. Instead of sitting here trying to figure out for yourself, because no one has a marketing agency CEO course on getting past 250, 300K. Everyone's playing smaller than that. Just take into account what we're saying here and just note it down because this is going to save you so much troubleshooting and figuring it out and wasting payroll, wasting time. So 0 to 10K is the idea. 10 to 40K. In my opinion, you're still a freelancer. We all convince ourselves we're business owners. You're just a freelancer. You're probably
running by yourself.
What'd you say?
You can run it by yourself.
Yeah, you're running it by yourself. I mean, I was doing 50 grand a month by myself. Didn't have any employees or VAs. It's easy to get there. And we'll show you exactly how. 50 to 150K, this is where you're proving your systems out a little bit, especially acquisition systems. 150 to 300K, whether you guys like to think so or not, we call this the corporate principal phase. You got to start putting the rule books in place. You got to make sure people are in check. It becomes so big that it becomes harder to manage. And the only way to manage is to have rules, right? And so you got to play that game. 300 to 600K, this is where I call it escaping the matrix. This is where you can step away from the business if you've done it right. The business will profit for you, whether you're a mill or a boutique. This is where you can take home a few $100,000 a month, not have to worry about things like you do, and you can focus on other things, or you can push the business up to 600K plus, which is the bag. This is where you can cash flow a ridiculous amount. You're in the top 0.1% of the world, in the US, whatever country you're in, you're in the top 0.1%. And most importantly, if you want to exit your agency, this is where the primest spot to do so is. You'll get the most money, you'll get the biggest multiples. And I want you guys to always keep this statement in the back of your head, please. The more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is.
Write that down.
Write that down like 10 times, put it on your forehead, and look at it in the mirror every day. Okay. This is how I operate. The more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is. It's a very important note. And the more conscious you become of that as you go up this ladder, the more conscious you are to less involve yourself up every step, the more powerful you become for your own time, and the bigger multiple you're going to get on your business, the more cash you're going to get. Bob McIntosh, you still believe that despite building and focusing on a personal brand as you have been, Eddie? I don't really understand the question. If you rephrase it, I'll come back to it as we keep going.
I think that's actually it's why he can focus on personal brand is because he's not needed in his business.
That's the question. Yeah, 100%. My personal brand fuels us climbing this ladder. And so it would be reckless of me to spend my time doing anything else besides building my personal brand. I just went to an agency. So the question, guys, is repeat the question, Ashton, because you kind of phrased it a little bit better than I did.
He's saying, he was basically saying, do you believe that that's important for you to not be valuable, even though you've been focusing so much on your personal brand? I think it's because you're not valuable, you're not needed in your business, that you can focus on your personal brand. And that just happens to fuel the agency.
Yeah. And just to tell you, Bob, I have a sales team of 7 people, and that's what fuels the sales of the agency. So even though it's not perfect yet, that is what I'm building to not have anything be dependent on me. I don't have any deal flow coming from me. I don't have anything coming from me. I could literally replace myself with someone who gets paid $15,000 a month, and the company should be able to grow every single month. That's where I'm trying to be at. And yes, Barris, I hit 300 grand a month without building a personal brand. So you don't need that. It's not required. If you don't want to post your own content, do your own thing. That's just an advantage if you want to play that card, but you don't have to build a successful company. So the more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable the business actually is. Let's keep going, Ashton. Take stage 1.
Yes, sir. All right. 0 to 10K a month. So, if some of you are here, this is probably some of the stuff you're facing, the challenges you're facing on a day-to-day basis. Basically you're in the, what we call idea niche searching phase. You're really trying to figure out who you're serving. You might be taking on, any kind of, almost anyone that would give you money. For me, that was exactly where I was when I first got started. I was literally going from, what was that? Chamber of Commerce meetings.
I did the same thing.
100%, bro. And you didn't have to pay the first time you went. So I would just hop around all of them, so you didn't ever have to pay the dues or whatever. And I was just taking anyone that would give me money. I think I was doing funnels, ads, and email for like $400 a month.
Dude, same. I was hoeing out.
In this phase, the real goal is to talk to as many people as possible. That's really what you got to do. When I first got started, I was working full-time at Verizon, and I would bring my laptop and I would just, in between customers, literally just searching Facebook groups, finding questions people had in the Facebook groups, Googling the answers, and then responding back to people. That it's just as much as you can do as possible. You're building the foundational fundamental skills. You're practicing as much as you can. You're probably doing a lot of reading, a lot of late nights, early mornings.
This is a freelancer stage. We kind of went through this a little bit. I'm not going to drag it out. You're basically working more than usual. You don't realize it because you're doing everything. You're talking to clients. You're selling new clients. You're trying to post content. You're trying to also do ads. You're also trying to reach out to more people. You may hire a VA or 2 here to help you out. If you're intelligent enough, quick enough to start hiring people. But usually this is the part where you're like, for the first time ever, seeing like 10, 20, 30 grand a month hitting your bank account every month in profit. And it's a new world. Like I remember at this stage, I was still in my parents' basement. But this is where you start trying to kind of build the basic foundational ops. You start building a little bit of automations, some CRM management, and kind of planning things out, but it's still a shit show, to be honest, at this point, right?
Yep. All right, 50 to 150K. This is where you really start to prove your systems. You're starting to get some standard SOPs, most likely, because you've started to hire some people. You finally, really, at this point, you do have a business. You know, you've passed the, the run rate of a 7-figure business. You're starting to do pretty well. But you can start to get a little cocky around this time, because you are starting to, once you hit that 7-figure run rate, that idea of 7-figure business, it comes to your mind. But this is where you start to have a small amount of payroll. And this is really where, at least for us, was where we started to build some valuable connections. We were, going to events more. We were starting to network with other business owners more, and we had some more confidence. So we started reaching out quite a bit more. But this is kind of where a lot of the courses start to break down, because most of the courses and programs out there, from everything that I've seen, and I know Eddie, you probably agree as well.
I'm a course whore, bro. I bought everyone.
Yeah, I do. Like most of the courses really don't go beyond this level. And so it starts to get harder to know what to do. But I will say for me, and I don't know about you, Eddie, this was probably the most profitable time of the business, because you could really operate something like this with 5 to 7 people, really, and you'd have great margins.
Even less. Yeah. At this point, we're doing 70-80% margins in our company, which now it's like flipped.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely agree with that.
All right. Eddie.
Cool. Corporate principles. So this is past the 150K mark. This is, I think, just from this chat, I know a lot of you guys are in this stage, from what I understand. This is where you start having to really put in. Can we go slower? Yes, I got you. We'll go a little bit slower for you guys. We don't want to bore you guys, but we'll go a little bit.
Is this
slower.
valuable? Give us like
yeah, give us a 1. If we suck, give us a 2. If we suck, give us a 2. And why are you still here if we suck? Honestly,
Andre's 1. Kick him out. No, okay, cool. I can't wait. Is a 1 good?
1 is good. 1 is good. We're not kicking.
Okay. Like, is this a scale 1 to 10? If so, bro, we should just sign off right now.
So funny.
All right, cool.
So at this point, margins are more important than ever. This is why, because this is kind of the point where you start, your biggest bottleneck becomes hiring, right? And so you're trying to out hire your sales in a way to be able to always grow, because what happens is you sell, then you're like, oh no, we sold too much, we have to stop. And it's kind of like 2 steps backward, 2 steps forward, 1 back, 2 forward, 1 back. And it's really good. You start building an actual company, you start being able to automate things, grow your revenue. The problem is, it's a double-edged sword, right? 1 bad month of sales, you're used to closing 25 people a month. You close 5 people that month, and you have a 10% churn rate, and your entire margin gone, all of it. You had 80K a month that you were taking home. It's 15 grand right now, like this, in 30 days. So this is a double-edged sword of a place to be. If your fulfillment isn't down and if your sales aren't down, because if they both go down the same month, which has happened to us, we dropped like 150 grand in revenue in like 40 days of recurring revenue, which to some people is their entire company, right? But relationships start becoming more valuable than ever. This is because at this stage, this is where I would like call Ashton. There's some people in this chat. We text all the time. We ask each other questions. This is Bob. Perfect. This is where I am. And it's absolutely accurate. 100%. Even Bob, me and Bob have messaged each other. Like, this is where your biggest breakthroughs happen, when you just are able to ask someone 100%. Horizontally a question, right? Rather than like being in a program or something like that. So just want to kind of get that out there. And
absolutely. It's so weird that at this point is almost where you're hiring the most amount of people. And it's like, you feel stronger than ever from a revenue standpoint once you get here, but you also are like the most fragile than ever before at this level. so interesting.
It's like the middle ground between like the good and the good. You know what I mean?
100%.
So this is where you have the corporate dilemma. This is where these are all the points. I think there's 2 more, Ashton. Yep. Commitments, the last one. Perfect. So this is where you guys need to start doing these things. As like, we haven't been taught to do some of these things. You know what I mean? We've just been going about business, open an LLC, pay everyone W-9s, contractors, who cares? As you get to this phase, you need to start treating yourself like a serious company here in order for you to attract serious people to come to your company, right? The first question people are asking us is, why am I being paid a W-9? The talented people. Do you guys have benefits? All these little things. If you guys want to connect with me afterwards, I can plug you with my guy who literally just searches for insurance companies based on your business profile and finds the cheapest and the best insurance, gives you guys the options. You can decide to go with them or not. But this is where benefits are important. We've held so many team members because our benefit plan is so good.
Yeah.
And the older you guys reach in talent, you know, we have so many young people, but some of the most talented people we have are older because
100%.
we've gotten to a point. This is very important. This is like one of those things you should write down, where we hire on experience, not on potential. Okay. I hired on potential my first 2 years in business. And I know for a fact, there's a lot of people on this call. I know for a damn fact, there's at least 70, 80 of you guys in here that hire based on potential. I know for a fact. You guys are like, I can just train them. He's super sharp. I can get him there. You know what I mean? That's not where you need to be. And in order to get the people that are actually experienced, the ones that are older, experienced, they understand this game, they ask for benefits. They ask to be on W-2 because W-2 is how they're going to go get a car loan, how they're going to get a house. They can't sacrifice those things. And so for you as a business owner, you need to start treating it like a real company, right? This is human arbitrage at its finest. You can pay someone 6, get back 15, rinse and repeat as many of those as you can. This is where you start needing to be really tight on finances. I've talked to some of you guys in here. You know, we've talked about finances pretty openly. I've seen books, things like that. I don't see a lot of people who have a very tight P&L. I'm talking like someone whose full-time job is numbers, not a VA, you know, someone who's here, understands the American tax system, understands a P&L, and can bring it to you every month as a CEO and say, here's every single number from top to bottom in our company. Here's ways we're winning. Here's ways we're losing. And here's where we need to be focusing. This is like every dollar counts at this point. Again, it's a double-edged sword and you guys need to play that way. And this is where you got to commit to your war chest. So I'm sure, you know, when you were making 10 to 40K a month, you were pocketing 20K, your lifestyle became about 20K. You want to keep it the same lifestyle from there to here because you want to take everything in excess of that and you want to start putting it in the bank account. You need to stash as much money as you can because the next phase, we're going to play a very aggressive game. And the only way to play it is to have that money. Jordan, at what point in Rev did you make the switch from potential to experience? I'll tell you this. I made it too late. I made it around maybe 350K, 400K. Okay. If I could go back, I would do it at 150 grand. At 150 grand a month, I would be 100% only hiring people who are more experienced and taking the couple grand L of a difference on my payroll to get those people because the company will grow faster. And full-time finance position, I don't want to answer too many questions at once,
we will have a QA at the end too.
Yeah, we'll have a Q&A at the end. So if you guys want to keep these saved too. But full-time finance position at this stage, definitely, Alex, like if you're over the 200K mark, you need the biggest decision. Dude, here's how I got my CFO. He came to me. He was in my automotive mill department. He's like, hey, I have some numbers I want to talk about. You know, is it cool if I bring them to you tomorrow? Sure. 3 p.m. we met. He had a whole presentation out. He did a P&L of the entire department. He drew out projections. He drew out what kind of clients based on who sold them and what kind of service they have the highest churn rates, the lowest LT. He broke down everything. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, okay, you're doing this full time right now. And yeah, Julian's a badass. Yeah, exactly. You guys know. But yeah, so basically, this is the point where you need someone just giving you data, Alex, right? You don't want to be thinking about these things. And I talked to a lot of you guys are doing your own numbers. You're like running spreadsheets at the end of the month, figure out, like, you can't think about that shit if you really want to win. You know what I mean? That's not the job of LeBron James to do that. You guys are the LeBron James, the Steph Curry's. That's the coaching team's job. They tell the numbers. They look at what the spreads are. They look at these things. Your job is one. It's to score. You know what I mean? And so you need to be a CEO. Fractional CFOs are totally fine. That's fine for me. As long as you have someone
100%.
whose sole responsibility is that, Dave, I think you're good to go. Said, we'll save that question for the end because that's a really good one. That's probably going to drag out. Let's leave that one for Q&A, but bank it for me so I can come back.
And just real quick on, Jordan, I would say, like, at every level, you should be looking to hire people off experience. But that doesn't mean like experience at the $500,000 a month range. Like if you're at 20K a month, you should be trying to look for at least some people on your team that have been at 50 or 60K a month,
100K a month.
experiences, like you should be always looking for that. But it doesn't have to be your whole team. I would say once you start to get to this level, you are kind of really looking for that at every level of the team, because you can't afford, like, you just don't have to pay for them to learn anymore. Like, you can afford to find and pay people that have the experience at this level. And so you should do that, because you can get into a trap. And I still deal with this, where sometimes you have such a drive to develop people that you kind of turn your company into a place where people can come to just fail and learn and grow, which is amazing. But at some point, you also have to run a business.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. Last thing, and we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah.
The problem with that, guys, and this is fucking, I'm going through this shit right now with all the people that I hired a year, 2 years ago. I spend so much time, effort, money, all this shit, turning them into fucking pros from noobs, right? I caught them. They're like, whoa, this guy's sick. He's a hard worker. I can tell. If I just teach him these things, he'll be amazing. 1 year later, 2 years later, another company comes, headhunts them, pays them 30%, 40% more than I am, because now they're worth that to them because they're so talented, but they weren't a year ago. There's a huge gap. I tripled what they're worth, essentially, and then I lost them. So now I become, and all of you guys, I know, yeah, 100% had this happen. Like, if you guys had this happen, please let me know. Like, you put so much time into someone and then boom, they just leave and go somewhere else. And it's just like, what if
something finicky too?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
petty.
What if
It's
I could
always
just
petty.
hire someone who I didn't put any time to, paid $1,500, $200, $2,000 more a month, and put them in my company, and didn't have that emotional attachment. And also, they weren't going to go get recruited anywhere, because their value now versus value a year from now is percentage points difference, because they're already there. But if I bring someone in at 30% value and I make him 100% value, now he's going to go shop and everyone's going to give him more money than I am. And I'm
100%.
going to lose the guy that I put so much money into.
Yeah. Yeah. Super big. All right. Sam, well, no, my agency is mostly advertising related. Eddie is definitely much more,
Yeah, guys, please also
Full stack.
toggle your chat to everyone so everyone can see the questions that you guys are asking. I'm moving forward. I'm just going to answer questions that are for everyone just to make sure everyone can see them.
Cool. All right. 300, 600K. This is what we call escaping the matrix. You're finally making real money. Really at this point, you're starting to put up some real serious numbers, some revenue here. You can buy pretty much whatever you want, besides a jet. You can't really go buy an island, but you can pretty much do anything else. You don't have to worry about your living expenses much. This is the part where, if actually anything more, maybe on your personal side, you can start making some mistakes, just not even looking at the bank account anymore. But you're working, 15, 20 hours a week, still grow, should be pretty good. This is where you have your most elite team. This is really where you're going to want to spend a lot of time recruiting. Don't just let recruiting fall to your team. Even if you have people dedicated to it, I would say you've got to really want to lean in and focus, you personally as a CEO, going and finding great talent. This is really where I think a lot of the company can start to outgrow a lot of your team members. Again, you've probably made most of your hires that were at 300K are probably still around 600K. And this is where, they just might not be able to keep up with the business growth. This happens. But this is where, you're really starting to become, top 1% earners, where you are as far as an agency, pocketing 2.5 to $3 million a year to yourself. This is really important. Now, here's a hard thing at this level. At this level, it becomes actually really hard to start making good relationships with a lot of people, not from a friendship ways, but just more of like a peer-to-peer, us understanding the problems we're dealing with. This is why Eddie and I are really good friends. It's hard to find people that can really relate to you when you get past that level. And really consulting, coaching, like the area where like you're constantly facing challenges that you've never had to solve before, can become, kind of crippling here. And so it's pretty important to start making those connections, spending time finding people. But here's where, predictable client acquisition becomes important. Because around this level, again, you as a CEO need to not be as needed and as important in the business. And so you've got to make sure you're locking in client acquisition systems through paid ads or things that you can control, not just relying on referral. I think, at least us, I think Eddie in their company as well, for the most part, up to this level, almost all just our relationship with other people, reputation, referral, word of mouth has grown it. And at this level, you've really, even just out of safety, not just even if you don't have to, it's just out of safety, you need client acquisition in. You need offload sales from the CEO. You're starting to recreate pricing structures most of the time because you're corporatizing or standardizing the sales process. Up until this point, probably a lot of you, maybe right now already, anytime you're on a sales call, you're just making the price up in your head. It's like off gut while you're on the call, you're making what the retainer is, the offer structure. You got to standardize all of that because sales needs to get offloaded.
Let's go back for a second. Let me talk about those tiered products.
Whoa.
Whoa, rough. All right, so this is a very important part, the tiered product and ascension systems, guys. This completely changed our company, and we even did it. Yeah, we did it right around this mark, around the 300 plus range. But basically, like taking your main offer that you have, figuring out where the most amount of people that are disqualified are coming in, why they are disqualified, and creating offers for these people. So these are low time based offers. Usually, digital products, usually like done for you one time thing that's not recurring, but you can get in a few grand through the door. Exactly. And what this does is, one, it allows you to offset a lot of marketing costs. And so if I'm spending, 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month in marketing, and I'm making like 30, 40K back in monthly retainers, that's still good. I'm super positive. But I have 70% of people here in my funnel that are all disqualified. They can't work with me because they're not rich enough, they're not experienced enough, whatever the case is. So what can I make for them at what price point to get them from the point where they can't work with me to the point where they can work with me? Because now I can collect money now. I can put them in my system. They really enjoy what I've given them as a product. Now they value my quality. And I'm moving them from point A to point B, which is where they can actually pay me a monthly retainer. So now you need to start focusing on making automated products that allow those people to become part of your buyer pool, whereas now they might not be. Too many of us just neglect these people, and we're like, okay, cool, I don't want to work with you, you're too small, or whatever the case is. Why don't you give them something for $1,000 one time where they can learn, take the initiative, get to point B without your help, and then come to you and say, hey, dude, I'm making that money now thanks to you. I want to work with you. That's the easiest sale you're ever going to get in your life, dude. You've already taken them from point A to point B. They're going to trust you to do the same from point B to point C. So just want to kind of put that out there. I see a lot of you guys still messaging us under host and panelist. Click 2 on the chat, hit everyone, and just make sure you guys message there, because I see a lot of people still messaging us directly. Just want to make sure everyone gets the same value that you guys are putting out. So
And something just really important here of why you can start doing this. Like, why can you start going, how do I liquidate or monetize that 70% that I'm disqualifying? The reason for that and why you shouldn't be doing this maybe before it is because at this level, you have extra resources, or you should be having extra resources that you can either choose to invest in the personal stuff, leave it in a war chest, or you can invest it back into your business. This is where you can kind of start to afford to lose money testing random ideas. Like, this is the area where it's like, hey, let's toss 15 grand at this idea and let's see if it makes money. And if it doesn't, no big deal. Like, this is why you can start doing it at this level. So if you're below this level, I would say think twice before you just hear this and go, oh, let me go start doing that. Just heads up.
Cool.
All right, 600K plus the bag. This is really where you're starting to move and leverage. This is where you start to get to play a little bit more of a big boy business game, where it's, you get to start diving into learning things that you maybe didn't have to learn before, learning cash flow management, lines of credit, being able to take bigger risks. Because at this level, you're kind of at what increases my enterprise value, and so you start looking for the games to play that can increase your enterprise value, and actually start moving you towards an exit. You're not so much focused on mothership, the business itself. You're going, how do I get this to either a more stabilized business that increases enterprise value, or how do I start adding on different things that people looking at my business would go, ooh, that's extra juicy, right? And so you start leveraging really the engine, which is the agency. Maybe you're starting to work on some VC deals, some collaboration deals. what a lot of us kind of think it's a unique idea to us, but what I found is like every agency owner is thinking this way, is like, oh man, my agency is an engine that can build businesses. So if I can find partnerships, I can get equity in their companies, we can run their marketing, and other clients are paying for us to do it, right? Almost everyone thinks it's a unique idea, but like almost every agency owner is like, oh, I should do that at some point. This is kind of where you start to have some of those deals come through. You can start exercising it. You need to be careful because you're at this point, your agency, I would still say, is like back and forth on you're hiring more team. Cash flow might be a little wonky because you're trying to figure it out, maybe stabilized over 6 months or whatever. So you got to be careful just to make sure you're not leaning your team out too much into these type of deals. Don't just say yes to everything. Take your time. But then this is ultimately where your team should be kind of running the business without you, in my opinion. If you're here and you're still needed on a day-to-day business, you're in some trouble here.
Agreed. Real quick, good question by Kurt. I want to answer this one real quick. Can you explain where you draw the line for potential clients you feel are qualified or unqualified? So one, Kurt, if you're new and starting out a little bit earlier, how I would do it is I would take on as many people in the field that I want to work with, and then 2-3 months down the line, look at them all and really put them on a spreadsheet, figure out who's still paying you, who stopped paying you, who was the worst client to work with, who was the best clients to work with, and figure out why. Example, we work with automotive shops on our mill side of our business. And on that side, we hate people who do certain services because they have the highest churn rate. We don't take them. If you do this service, sorry, we don't take you. They have to at least have 2 more team members besides them, because we notice that the ones that don't never call the leads fast enough. They're always working on a car. They're not at the office to actually do the deals themselves and get the sales in the door, book the calendars, all that good stuff. And so you want to find whatever these metrics are. So if you, for example, want to go after, I don't know, dentists, then get all the dentists you possibly can. Then after 60 to 90 days, sit back, put the numbers on the table and look at it and say, okay, who are the ones that actually stay the longest? I'm the happiest working with, and I know I can make them the most money the fastest. This is a very key point. The gap between the time they pay you to the time that they make their first dollar through you, the more you shorten that gap, the longer someone's going to stay with you. The more that gap is there, the more friction there is at the beginning, the more they start questioning what you're doing and kind of losing a little bit of trust. So I hope that kind of gives you the answer. Ashton, sorry to interrupt, bro. Take it home, babe.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. Just kind of summarize the last thing up. One thing I don't think we mentioned, I think it's been obvious, but just to make sure, this is what we're talking about is per month in revenue, not per year in revenue. Just to make, I think it was obvious, but I want to make sure. But anyway, this where you start to plan the exit of the company. I think at this point, it kind of is up to you. You can either continue trying to scale the company, and this is really ultimately like you really wanted to go compete, New York style agency. You want to go compete with the Mute Sixes if you want to keep scaling, or you start to plan out the exit. Ultimately, I think it's important that you plan out what you want at the end of the agency at the beginning, as early as you can in your business. You should be figuring out, what is my exit point? When do I want to get out? Because that's going to completely change the way you build your business, is depending on where you want to exit. So that's really important. Here, this is really where you probably, you've got to be one role. You can't just be the CEO and sales. You can't be CEO and your lead marketer. You really need to find a role and pick it. And then start to build out your C-suite. This is really where you're hiring for your weaknesses, whether that's the CFO, like Eddie was talking about earlier, a CMO, a COO, CRO. You want to figure out, what is your role? What are you best at? And then start building the C-suite that can overcome and be better at you in your other areas, better than you in your other areas. And you don't want to pick more than one. So it's super
guys, this is a hard point, because like you're getting offers for $10 million. Cash, $10-12 million cash. Like, it's very hard to say no. You know what I mean? What keeps you saying yes is like, where are we going to take it? Look at the team that I've built. It gets very emotional at that stage. It's one thing right now where you guys are like, oh, I wouldn't, if I was making that much, I wouldn't take $10 million. Well, you've never had a $10 million check across the table and say, sign here and we'll deposit it into your account tomorrow. You know what I mean? And so this is a very hard stage. And so I want you guys, even though you're at 50K a month, 100K, 200K, I don't care where you're at. If you're trying to grow your agency, you need to think about this from then. Okay. You need to like make a commitment in your head. Hey, at what point are we going to start exploring options? At 500K a month, at 600K, at 700K a month? Where is that a possibility, or is it completely off the table? I don't care what anyone offers me. I'm not stopping until I make $1 million a month. You know what I mean? Will, just to be clear, you fill those weaknesses earlier already, but you don't necessarily hire C-suite people. Okay. C-suite people are getting paid like 300 grand a year. And so you can't afford to have 5 people getting paid 300 grand a year when they're not directly generating revenue because they're managing the operation.
Also, agencies making 50 to 100K a month, don't call someone a COO. Don't call someone a CMO. Like, unless they're a founder with you, don't just call them that. It's going to be so difficult, because I promise you, your best friend from high school, when you get to 250K a month and you're starting to have real big boy money taxes, and you're starting to have real business issues, and that person wasn't ever trained on that, knows nothing about it, you're going to have a hard conversation.
You're talking to me, Ashton. You're talking to me, bro. I've been through this.
Oh, that's so true. My bad.
So true. That would hurt. But for clients that are I don't know if I pronounced it right. For clients that are not qualified, are you downselling them on the course? That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them from point A to point B so they can start working with us. If you are an agency owner, I have the event of the year ready to go for you here in January, every single year in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Agency Founders, where we bring together the top 7-figure a month agency owners to come speak to you and share the strategies that they're doing over the past 12 months and the next 12 months to keep growing their business. This is information that you're not going to get anywhere outside of this room. These are usually people that don't even post online that much because the information is so valuable and they do not want to share it. But we peel back the curtains on our businesses. We show the numbers. We show exactly how we're getting our clients. We show the operations, and we show everything in between at Agency Founders. This is our 3rd year coming up here in 2024, and we do it every January. So based on when you're listening to this, it's either happening soon or it just happened and you're going to have to wait for the next one. But in both cases, I want you to go to theagencyfounders.com. Link is below the video in the description. Go ahead, learn more about it. And if you're in the agency space and you're serious about making more money, getting past the mark that you're at, whether it's going to 6 figures a month, whether it's going to 7 figures a month, this is the most valuable room, the most valuable network, and the most valuable information in the agency space. I absolutely guarantee it without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. The feedback that we get every year is that that is the case every single time, whether people are making 5 figures a month, 6 figures a month, or even 7 figures a month. And I expect to see you there if you're serious about taking this agency journey to the next level. So go ahead, click the link below at theagencyfounders.com, learn more, fill out the application and apply. And hopefully I see you in the seats. And if I do, please come by, say, hey, me and all the speakers are going to be accessible throughout the 2-3 days there. And I want you to leave there absolutely transforming your life and taking a different direction, not just showing up, taking notes, and not doing anything with it. So I'll see you in January in Atlanta, Agency Founders. So let's talk about the 3 stages of a recession for marketing agencies. Just to tell you guys this, a lot of my friends are in their 40s. They've been doing this for a long time. I went back and I explored again. I said, hey, last time we went through this, what did it look like? And the answer is pretty much across the board. We're pretty uniform. So I kind of combine them into one. So first stage is client fear and panic. Depending on what businesses you guys have, you might have already felt some of this. You know, us in the e-commerce space, we had a month where like everyone decided they wanted to quit, even though they were getting good results. And the problem is these are inexperienced business owners that think the first cost that they need to cut is marketing. When in reality, it's probably a bloated business that they have. It's probably someone on payroll who's not paying their cost back to the company. And so they assume marketing is the first to go. So there's a little bit panic here. And, you know, when COVID happened, I'm sure if you guys were in the space, you saw a lot of this. People were like, holy shit, what's going to happen? Like, I don't even know. Let's fire the marketing agency. I remember in one day we got like 27 clients canceling in one day. Not like, I remember that day and I sat on the couch. I was like, all right, how are we going to do this? And luckily, you know, we grew like crazy since that.
Guys, if you feel for Eddie, you know what he's talking about. Maybe you had something like that. Put an F in the chat.
Put an F.
Put an F in the chat for Eddie.
F in the chat, right? Cool. So stage 2. This is dry market. This goes on, in my opinion, from what I understand, for about like a year or so. This is where everyone's holding on to their money. Businesses it's way harder to get them to separate from their dollars. And we're already starting to see that, guys. Like even when I go to like masterminds and things, like I talk to the owners and they're like, dude, it's just way harder to get people to spend, 30 grand or 40 grand for a mastermind right now as opposed to what it was a year ago. So I feel like we're in between both these stages right now. And the third stage is the rising tide. So I'm sure we saw this during COVID too. You guys got a good piece of this, but basically everyone in stage 1 and 2 either lost their business, decided they didn't want to do it anymore, thought it was too hard, blah, blah, blah. Supply is not there anymore. So let me give you an example of a friend of mine who owns a dental marketing agency. Okay. This man was at 250K a month. COVID hit. He held right under 250. He lost a few of clients, but like he held for the good bit of it. All the other dental companies closed. As soon as COVID restrictions got lifted, he jumped in 6 months from 200K to $2 million a month in monthly revenue. Okay. Because he was on the rising tide. That's how valuable this stage is here, guys. Because what's happening is everyone in stage 1 and 2 is panicking on the marketing side. Everyone's considering jumping ship. Do I get a job? Do I do this? Do I not market as hard anymore because I'm scared to spend my money? There's a lot of questions happening here. And this is where if you play offense between stage 2 and stage 3, when the rising tide happens and good news start coming out, the news starts saying, oh, stock market, new high. You know what I mean? All these little indicators that make people feel more confident in the economy, and you are there to jump on it. This is where you will 5x your business in a matter of just 12 months. Okay. The question here is, how do we make sure we stay through stages 1 and 2 and be resilient to stage 3? I can't give that name, guys, of the friend. All I can tell you is dental marketing agency, really, really big. You don't even know who he is, probably, honestly. So I'll leave it at that. So Ashton, let's go to the next one if you can. So here's the 3 things I think are probably the most important things that an agency needs to thrive in a recession. Me and Ashton really sat down, guys, for the last week. I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating. Like for the last 8 days, we've been brainstorming daily. We were like, really, what is it? Like, what do we want to make sure that everyone leaves here on the same exact page? And so before we get to the modes, which Ash is going to cover, which I think are super important here, I want to talk about the 3 things that, like, they might sound obvious, but I know damn well you guys aren't doing. Okay. So I'm here to drill it back into your brain and make sure that we leave here taking these things super seriously. So let's jump to number 1. I need you guys to be tighter on your numbers more than ever. I think a lot of times we just kind of were like, oh, positive. We're making money. It's good. We're sold more. We didn't lose that much. Things are positive. Let's keep going. Let's growing. Unacceptable right now. Okay. If you guys don't know your exact churn percentage every month, or the exact lifetime value of a customer in your business, I mean, every single number, churn, lifetime value, which sales guy is closing people that leave the earliest versus another one, little things like that. You need to understand the numbers. This is why I say, having a fractional CFO or someone who's full-time in charge of numbers is going to be very, very important for your business, even if you guys are just at like 100K a month. Okay. You need to understand your numbers more than ever, because there might even be people that you would fire because they are not holding their weight just based on the numbers. So a second question I want you guys to ask yourself, because I talk to a lot of you guys privately, right? And someone will tell me, yeah, dude, we took home 30 grand a month in profit this month. And I say, great. Did you pay yourself? And they're like, yeah, 30 grand is what I paid myself. I say, okay, cool. Well, that's not really what you're making, because you're a CEO of a company. And if you had to replace yourself, you'd probably pay someone 12 to 15 grand a month. So you really only kept 15K as a company. Now, when you start thinking about it that way, you really feel like, damn, I'm not doing enough. Right. And so I want you guys, even though you guys, a lot of you are solo owners, actually, let's take a poll here. Give me a 1 if you guys actually pay yourself a W-2 salary before the profits of the business, and give me a 2. So 1 if you pay yourself, 2 if you don't pay yourself, if you just take profits. Give me 2. Look at all those 2s. Yeah. I know. I did that shit too. I love how many 1s, actually. I'm very impressed at how many 1s there are. Small salary, Matt, not enough, bro. Bump that up. You need to be realistic with yourself. And at the end of the day, guys, what's the point of working this hard if you guys can't pay yourself? You know what I mean? So give yourself a salary. You need to make sure you have yourself covered as well before the business has you covered. Okay.
Yep.
You need to make sure you're good to go, just like every other employee in the company. So
Yep.
I want you guys to start thinking that way. Okay. If you're taking home 20, you should be paying yourself 10. You're actually only taking home 10. So let's be real with ourselves here. Let's not inflate our own numbers for our own egos. Let's have a little check here. I know it's a tough pill to swallow. I get it. We've been there. It fucking sucks. But look the numbers straight in the eye and understand exactly where you're actually at if you had to pay yourself. And what percent of your staff is US based versus overseas. I think this is kind of where you can start, shifting a little bit overseas, a little bit more than maybe you have. I'm very US heavy. I have 60 employees in the US. It's a lot of payroll.
I'm
to
way
say the
too
least.
US heavy.
Way too US heavy. Nothing US based. Great job, Eugene. I think you're in a great spot going to a recession. Because as things happen here, people will demand more salaries with inflation, whereas overseas, you're going to be in a much, much better situation. So I'm not saying go all overseas. I'm just saying make sure you have a little bit better of a balance. Okay. So let's keep going, Ashton. Number two, referral partners to offset rising acquisition costs. I'm gonna do this as organically as possible. Jordan B, I see you're in the chat. Jordan, how much money do your clients pay us every month? Don't even tell me what they pay you. Tell me what they pay us as a referral partner, like this month. Can you just put that number in the chat for me, just so everyone doesn't think I'm bullshitting or anything? So I don't know if he's comfortable with it. If he doesn't put it in there, we'll see. Yeah, 27 grand this month is what Jordan's clients are paying us because we have a referral partner with Jordan. And now imagine I have 10 Jordans and we're sending him business for things. He's sending us business for things.
Hey, Jordan, hit me up after this.
No. But the point here is, guys, this is huge because this is how you acquire customers without acquisition cost. You have a trusted relationship. If you have to understand, imagine like we're all splitting ad spend, how many clients we could acquire, right? Like I get 50 applications a day. 8 of them are fucking realtors. I don't work with realtors, but I have my friend, John, who works with realtors. My sales team sends them to John. John sends me money back whenever they sign up. Now I've paid for my ad spend. John now has a client at no cost except a referral fee. And we do this over and over and over. And the more connections you have in this space, the more you can do this. And the more you offset all your problems. At this point, I get more referrals. Dude, with 150 clients, guys, I get more referrals from other agencies than I do my own clients. Not because we don't do a good job for my clients, just because every other agency is marketing themselves. They're all running ads. They're all doing their own thing. They're all showing up to conferences. They're all making connections. They're all masterminding. And they meet people that aren't a good fit for them, but they're a great fit for us. And vice versa. We meet people that are a great fit for them and not for us. And so it's very important that you guys start creating these deeper relationships and referral partners in other agency spaces that are actually trying to grow and create their own deal flow. Anything you want to add, Ashton? Or are we good on that?
No, that's perfect.
Cool. And then last one, this is going to sound very vague. I want you guys to really, really take this, as deeply as possible. Okay. Creativity and confidence. Right now, because of the recession, you're going to brainwash yourself to think no one wants to pay you. And there are still a lot of people that want to pay you. And if you approach it like it is not a good time to buy, no one will buy from you. Okay. I have this saying, it's always a good time to buy. I just signed up a mortgage broker coaching guy, right? He coaches mortgage brokers. He's paying us $20,000 a month plus a 30% profit share. It'll probably end up being a 100K retainer. Okay. On the call, he said, dude, I don't want to do this because we're going into a recession. Mortgage rates are through the roof. And there is no way that a mortgage broker would want to pay 8K for a coaching program right now because they can't even get their own deals. And my answer, no matter what anyone tells me, is, oh, that's a great time to buy. Okay. It's a great time to buy. They're like, what do you mean it's a great time to buy? That makes no sense. I said, great. Well, because their deals are less than ever. If I bring them 4 deals more a year with $8,000, that should be worth way more than it was last year when they were doing 20 on their own. If they're only doing 4 on their own right now, and I bring another 4, I'm 2xing their entire pool of income, which makes it more valuable than ever. And same in a recession with companies, right? If companies are fighting for a smaller pool of customers because the money isn't there, the ones who spend the money on marketing properly will dominate that pool because no one else is spending on that pool because they're so scared. So technically, it's a great time to buy marketing services. And so it's all how you frame it, guys. And it comes with your creativity in framing it and the confidence that you bring to the table. If you guys are approaching it thinking no one's going to buy, no one is going to buy. Okay.
Yep.
Can I get a 1 in the chat, please, just to confirm that we all understand this principle and concept and mentality? Because like, if there's anything I want you to take away, it's this, please.
100%.
Like, I need you guys to really understand this. Thank you.
And trust me, guys, trust me, even if they don't convert, people will remember the people who stood up with confidence, were creative, and were in the limelight when things were tough. Like,
And
people
that-
will remember that person, that when everything was tough, this person is getting creative. But here's the thing where the agencies miss it. You lack the empathy for the business owners. You continue marketing the exact same way, even though times have changed. And so that's why you're not getting results. Business owners just need to know that you understand where their situation is, right? But you don't want to go to a hospital when you're fine, when you're healthy. None of you on this call right now want to go to the hospital. But if your arm was just cut off, you'd be making a sprint to the door. It's the same thing. When customers dry up, business owners get more desperate for customers. And so they're looking for solutions for those customers, right? They've saved up nest eggs for this moment. They know they need to get customers. They're not just giving up, right? You can access that as long as you have the empathy to do it.
Agreed. Cool. Let's keep going. Got a question from Deep before you jump in, because you're about to get into some juicy, thick stuff. How could this be reframed for our clients selling B2C? I don't know enough about your product, Deep, but we sell a lot of direct to consumer products on ecom, which is direct, obviously, to the customers. At the end of the day, it's always a good time to buy. Back to this thing. If you actually are solving a need for a client, then there is always that need in the marketplace. You know what I mean? The more towards need your product is, the more money people will spend on it. The more towards want it is, the less money people want to spend on it during a recession. But if you one better headline, one better creative, one better landing page tweak is all it takes to take them from I don't really want this that bad to I really want this. So this is where you can separate yourself from other people just from a skill set of just being a better marketer at the end of the day. If it's on the need side, they're still going to be buying it all the time. But if it's on the want side and you got to reflect on your own business and understand what you're selling, then that is where you need to play with the best of the best to be able to sell it.
100%. 100%. Cool. All right. Optimizing profit machine. This is going to be interesting. So ultimately inside of profit machine, the areas that you can really focus on is one, obviously client acquisition. This is referral networks, organic content, paid traffic, outbound. You've got to be able to really nail this piece to ultimately get your profit machine working. And this is where it's most likely going to take the most, tweaking, where you're going to have, it's not going to be something that's overnight. This is going to take months, if not years, for you to really get down. But you've got to get this piece right, because this is going to be the main thing that allows you to step away and not be as involved with the business all the time. Next, optimize burn and output. This is really where you can start leveraging international hires. This is tech automation, leadership, and core team training. This is really where you start to get optimized players. Here's the big thing with hires. And again, this is high level because I'm about to dive into more of a tactical training for you guys. But when you think about the high level players, it is unreal the difference is. You can literally get people on an A team. If they're an A player, they are outproducing even your B players by 2 to 5x. It is unreal, guys.
I actually have a cool case study.
Yeah.
Netflix did this case study. Okay. And they basically went and they put people in groups of 5. Okay. And basically, I don't know if it was like Netflix or like Netflix hired a company or studied it, but like it was from the Netflix culture book. And basically what they did was they put like 4 teams of 5. Okay. And in these teams of 5, they basically had one variable piece, right? So like 4 people were good, and like one team had a toxic person that was the 5th person. The second team had someone who was just like underskilled. The third team had someone who just like didn't show up and slept. Okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The ones who had people who were contributing negatively, whether it was toxic, unskilled, whatever the case is, saw almost a 50% drop in efficiency of the entire team compared to the teams that had 5 people who are all A players who are all contributing. 1 player difference. 4 people are A players, The fifth person wasn't, and it had a 40 to 50% drop in efficiency. So imagine 5 people on a team are actually worth 2.5 people now because you hired one shitty person. Okay.
Yeah.
That is the impact that it makes on your team. Like, please give me a fucking GG in the chat. Give me a GG in the chat if you guys understand this, because this is super important. This is something that I totally went over my head for years. I just wanted to hire people, whoever had the best potential, who I thought could be good. And now I swear to you guys, I'm having to go recruit A players that left. And the reason now that they're gone, that they say they left, which is different than when they were here sitting at my desk telling me that they were leaving, is because they were tired of working with other people that didn't get the shit done when they told them to get the shit done. Okay. You will lose A players. You will lose your best people because they are working with people that are not as good as them. Okay. I need you guys to really understand this, whether you're in the agency space or any other space. This is a very important principle. And the last point on here, I'm just going to go over Ashton because I wrote it this morning. 30-day policies, non-negotiable, guys. If in your contracts, you're month to month or you're 3 months and then month to month, whatever it is, I don't care. 30-day policies. This has carried our entire business because someone tells me they want to terminate services. Great. Well, we have one more entire billing cycle for our sales team to go out and replace this person, or me to go out and replace this person. So if you guys do not have a 30-day cancellation policy and it is tight in your contracts, as soon as this call's over, you need to go put it in your contract
100%.
that there's a 30-day termination policy from the date that they put it. Anyway, this is non-negotiable. I don't care how much I like you. Sorry, bro. This is how our business runs. It's a recurring business. I'm hiring ahead to be able to make sure you guys are taken care of and not take on too much clients. And I want you to abide by the same principle if I'm going to do that for you. Derek, 100% of the time, everyone abides by the 30-day policy. It's non-negotiable, dude. It's like non-negotiable. There's 2 people ever who haven't. I sent the rest to collections and we collected 70% of that money for ourselves. So it's non-negotiable. It's in the contract. They are not winning if I'm taking them to collections at the end of the day. And we talk to them about that. If it comes down to it, we say, listen, we don't really want to take it this far. It's a waste of our money. It's a waste of your money. It's going to be bad on your credit. You owe us this money. It's, $4,200 out of the 5,000 because of the day that you canceled. And that's what we're going to collect. So just letting you guys
Hey,
know.
go over this last one. I'm going to grab a drink real quick.
Cool. Optimize output. This is kind of where you guys need to start tightening up your day-to-day interactions. Again, like the more you can automate, the less high-level people that you require. This is going to be super important going into it. And then again, like if there's any common factor here that you guys keep saying, hire stronger A players. Okay. The other day, I had someone actually yesterday, they're like, hey, we got this top of the line a content guy that's coming in, like we want to hire him. He wants 70 to 80, and they're like, I say we give him 52, and then in a few months we can bump him up and give him some KPIs. And I was like, stop that shit. He wants 70 to 80, give him 75K right now. Hire him right now at 75K. No questions asked. I want him to know it's our best, absolute best offer we're going to give him. And let's set the expectations out the gate. And if he can't meet them in 60 days, tell him he's on a 30-day notice at that point. Like, don't play games, and you don't want to sit here and try. I used to always do this, like for the A players, only the A players, guys. I used to try and be like, okay, if I can get like 10K a year less, and negotiate, that's a huge win. It's really a loss because like then they tell you, oh, well, I can't do 60. Could you do 65? And then you say, yeah, let's do 65. And then they say, damn, well, I guess that wasn't your best offer in the first place. So you must not have thought that highly of me. Now we're on 2 different teams from the get-go. Now company versus me employee. Whereas if you just gave them the best offer you had from the get-go, they appreciate that and they understand. Rex, my sales guy, is actually in this chat. I see him chatting. We did the same with him, man. I gave him the best offer we could. He asked me for something. I went, I talked to my CFO, I made it happen. And he was appreciative out the gate, and he's been a fucking A player ever since. So make those moves. Don't be afraid to invest in the best people. Let me knock out some questions, Ashton, and then I'll let you keep going. How can you make contracts airtight against disputes and enforce a lot happening and enforce policies like this? Dude, I'm not a business attorney. That's a business attorney question. Honestly, I go to them just like they come to me to do their marketing. That's where I would do it. When it comes to disputes, guys, make sure all your documents are signed in like PandaDoc or other software, so it's tracked to their IP address. Make sure you have confirmed communication that they signed and paid to you. So like I always take a text, an email, whatever it is, confirming from them that they paid me. Hey, paid and signed. Just let me know when you paid and signed. Hey, confirmed, paid and signed. Good to go. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that we do. And we document everything we do. We record every call. Everything's auto recorded. We document every meeting notes. I mean, I haven't lost a dispute in like 6 months, and we get some pretty fat disputes. Just from having just bad clientele who decide to leave and do things the wrong way. So that's one. Derek, yes, we prorate the last invoice. So, you know, if someone put in a 30-day notice, and in those 30 days, we'd only be billing them $4,000 out of $5,000 because of when they last got billed, that's what we're going to bill them. So we'll prorate that for sure. A lot of questions. Okay, 2 more questions, and I'm moving off. So after the first 6-month contract, are you then just rolling month to month by 30 days? In our case, yes, we are. That being said, on the bigger agreements, we're not doing that. We're renewing. So we're sitting at the table and we're saying, hey, you know, minimum 1 year for us to keep going forward. If things are going well, they should have no problem with it. I just had someone renew from a 6-month to a 2-year agreement. So if you're doing your job, that's the right time to ask. And then last one, what percentage of your clients are coming from paid traffic versus referral and outbound? 0% of our clients are currently coming from outbound. We're just starting our outbound team about 30 days ago. I wouldn't say 0, let's say 5. Referrals, a ton right now. We're getting a ton of referral business. My phone's blowing up with text every day from other agency owners referring people to me right now, because everyone wants to make money on these people. Like if you get a lead and you can't take him, but you know someone can and they'll pay you $1,000 for it, give them that lead and get $1,000 and go spend another $1,000 trying to get your lead. So that's it. And then paid traffic. We spend a pretty good bit of paid traffic, not as much as people might think. We probably spend $1,000 a day on paid traffic. For those of you that think that's a lot, it's actually not, just considering the size of our company. We have 95 employees. So it's kind of a mix. But Bob, I would love to be a referral guy for real estate investors. Hey, let's talk after this. Don't be shameless on that plug, dude. That's why we're here. So any way we can work together and make money together, I'm always open to it.
Yeah.
Ashton, take it away, baby.
Just one note on this, guys. A big mistake that you can make here, though, is that by paying the extra money, you can't just pay the extra money. You need to have very, very clear expectations when you hire them on what those KPIs are for success. A lot of you are hiring and then figuring out what you want your KPIs for them to be, or what you want their outcomes to be over the next 60, 90 days. Have that stuff dialed before you hire, right? You can't just give people money and expect the money be what causes them to have success. You've got to clearly outline it so that by the time you get to the 30 days, like what Eddie said, he very easily knows whether they hit the target or they didn't hit the target. And so he can make a decision unemotionally and quick. It's very, very important. All right, cool. The best way to optimize.
Real quick, for questions, guys, make sure you save them. I see some referral fee questions. Save these to the end. We got a whole slide for Q&As, and we're just going to sit here for like 15, 20 minutes and bang them out with you guys. So
Absolutely.
I want to make sure we're intentional with this. So
yeah,
just make sure you guys save those and don't lose them.
All right, cool. Best way to optimize your profit machine is to operate in modes. I want you to type in modes in the chat if you're ready for this. This is very important, because what I want you guys to think about as we're going through these slides is I want you to create these concepts, individualized reports, plans, SOPs for each mode. The purpose of this is not so that you are doing these exact things in this order. What this is to give you a principle to guide your decision making. If you can literally operate in modes within your agency, so that you have a very clear path of when we're in this mode, this is what we focus on. When we're in this mode, this is what we focus on. And we don't go outside, you are going to be very, very focused. And that's what's going to allow you to build very strong structures. Okay. So when you're watching this, I want you to start thinking of creating a mission report with your senior level team, with yourself, of like, what is our go-to process when we're in this mode, right? Just like the DEFCON list, you know, when the country is in a certain DEFCON mode, they do certain actions, right? That's what you almost want here, standard operating procedure. Okay, here are the 3 modes that we operate in our agencies. Okay, shout out to my video game nerds. You have rushing, booming, and turtling. Shout out opening weekend to Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. what I hope to be doing this weekend.
Are there any gamers here? Can we just get some GGs if we got some gamers?
I just need some respect for this, okay? Do
Let's
people,
go.
yeah, some love here. All right,
This
cool,
is
cool,
very
cool.
well thought out. I hope you guys see.
I spent time thinking about this for you guys, okay? All right, first, rushing, okay? Rushing. When you're in rushing mode, you are using your resources for attacking, okay? Revenue generation. When you're in rushing mode, you are focusing on paid ads, client acquisition, branded content, just like we were talking about earlier, building a little bit of maybe personal brand, value content. You're trying to make your appearance of your agency or yourself look good online, trying to build that side. And then internal marketing development. Okay. This is where you start to really build your internal marketing side. When you're building out, maybe an internal copywriter, you're starting email newsletters, maybe you're starting consistent posts on social media, maybe you're starting to create some blog articles or some advertorials, you're starting to push content and maybe sell some courses, right? When you're in rushing mode, your goal is, how do I acquire as much ground as possible, right? And so this is when Eddie was talking about, when the market is on that upswing, when business owners are starting to, the water's getting stirred, people are getting excited, they're starting to hire. This is when you want to be able to rush. You have to prepare for it though. If you don't have a pre-thought plan of how you're going to rush, when you rush, you could miss the opportunity. Okay. Very important. Next, booming. Booming is when you use your resources solely to gain new resources. Okay. This is investing into your businesses. This is building infrastructure inside of your company, right? This is when you're trying to either acquire agencies. Both Eddie and I have done that a couple times this past year. Where we're looking for agencies that either have something that ours currently doesn't have, or we're acquiring cash flow, right? They're small enough to purchase. They want to be a part of a bigger mission, a bigger vision. And so we can acquire that cash flow, take the staff in that is now becoming instrumental leaders that can then build inside of our agencies, right? So we're acquiring resources. How do we build more? And basically in this stage, what you're trying to do is just build really, really good foundation. Okay. Now, training infrastructure, this is big. This is when you kind of have to start really having like career pathings for your team. This is where you want to start taking time every single week to mentor and coach your internal team. Okay. You're using your resources. And this is even where you can start to get fancier with, like, I know, Eddie, I think you guys do this too, but taking your leadership out onto trips, Q4 planning, Q2 planning,
Every
vision
quarter now.
casting. Yeah, exactly. So you take them out, invest into your team. And this is asset purchasing. So start thinking, as marketers, we're always thinking of how do we market for other people, right? How do we use their email list to get them more customers? But I see very few agencies actually thinking about, how do I build my own email list? How do I build my own Facebook group so I can start building my farm field to start, nurturing and getting clients from it? Again, the whole purpose in booming phase is, how do I take our current resources to put into things that provide more resources for me? Okay. And that can be through infrastructure, but it could also be the purchasing of other assets. Okay. All right. Final, turtling. This is campers. This is the campers in the chat.
We hate these guys.
This is the people we hate in video games. But guess what, guys? Turtling is what protects your business. Turtling, people with who have a turtle strategy and don't get too tempted to be a rusher and get shot in the face. These are the people ultimately that will be around for a long period of time. Okay.
Especially in a recession.
100%. And this is the thing, right? Because if you're rushing and booming and you don't have a plan of turtling or camping, right, and protecting yourself, when a recession comes, you get wiped, because you, just like a lot of what we saw in the e-com space, they crushed it in 2020, just like everyone in e-com did, and they thought it was going to stay there. They spiked up and they just thought it was always going to be like that. And they didn't have a turtle strategy to protect themselves. And so now when the market goes back down, what happened to their fixed overheads? It stayed the same because they increased it. And some of you might be doing the same in your agency. So focus in the turtling phase, improving client experience, right? How can you make it feel seamless, guys? I cannot tell you how important an onboarding experience is for a client. It will set the pace for the relationship, for the entire engagement. And if you have a bad onboarding experience, you're starting off already on the wrong foot. So you're investing in software, hiring more team to support client projects. So again, this is not necessarily how do I hire a CMO for our internal brands. This is like, how do I hire people to make my fulfillment even stronger, right? To protect.
Lower churn.
It's the biggest killer of all agencies, right? And then internal operations, HR, benefits. Guys, benefits is so tough. It is so expensive, but guys, it really does make a difference in protecting your team and attracting talent like Eddie was talking about, but also it is the thing that sometimes will keep them. We have people come and try to poach our team, but do not have benefits. And even if they're paying my team more, they will not leave because they have the security of a benefit. It's huge. All right.
Before we keep going, I need some energy from the chat. I need some energy real quick.
Is this good?
Is this
good
good?
stuff?
Yeah, we just want a little gauge here. Is this good? Is it worth it? Spending your Saturday, I left my wife and kids for this. I could come back to some divorce papers for all I know. All for this.
Our wives are calling each other right now, guys. Scheming.
Our wives are like, how do we leave these guys that are going on a Saturday to provide some free value, man?
We love you guys. We love agency owners. That's ultimately why we're doing this. Honestly, we love this industry. We love what we do. And so this was fun for us. Dope. Turtle. So many questions. Okay, keep your questions. I promise you, we will answer them at the end. Love this shit. Good. All right. My goal for you guys and what you guys should have next 6 months at latest, realistically, I would encourage you not to enter 2023 without individual plans for how you are going to rush, how you boom, and how you turtle, and literally make it a PDF document that you keep on the side or in your folder or whatever. But that can be your playbook. When you get to a certain point in business, you can go, hey, it's time to rush, boys. What do we do? You can pull out the playbook and immediately you already know all the avenues that you can take. So valuable, right? So valuable. Recording, we'll tell you a way at the end.
No. We said no recordings. I'm sticking to my word.
Ooh.
Maybe I'll do something different, but as of now, I'm sticking.
I'm a pretty persuasive boy, ladies and gentlemen.
That's how it is, man. I gotta.
You know who you need to butter up.
Butter up Ashton, because I'm a hard no.
I love a deal.
Mom and dad. You can go to dad. Dad says no. You go to mom. There's no.
That's right. That's right. And mommy loves deals. All right.
Listen, all right. If there's any kind of principle that I want you guys to echo with yourself financially in your company right now, it's enough with the revenue vanity metrics. Okay, let's stop talking revenue. Let's start talking profit here. Yeah. I want you guys to start thinking, how can we turn our top line revenue, so our revenue that we make, into our profit? If you're making 150K a month in revenue and you're keeping 40 grand a month in profit, I need you to start thinking bigger. I need you to start thinking, dude, if I can make 150K a month in revenue, why can't I make that in profit? Okay. And I need you to start flipping the script here and turning your top line into your bottom line. Okay. So just let that one stick in the back of your head.
Write that down, guys. That's a New Year's resolution. How do I turn my top line, or that's your resolution, turn my top line right now into my bottom line by December 31st, 2023.
Dope.
That'd be a gangster goal.
Take us on to this Q&A, baby, Ashton. We're almost there.
All right, guys. The single best way to recession proof your agency, leapfrog the mistakes that costs us sleepless nights and hundreds of thousands of dollars. When I say that, guys, it is not an exaggeration. Okay.
It's probably an under exaggeration.
Honestly, it is probably millions of dollars if we count the missed opportunity that we have had by making some of these mistakes, hiring the wrong people, investing the wrong cash, being bloated, going a different direction, saying yes to the client that you shouldn't have said yes to. Man, so many mistakes, guys. And so this is honestly the most important part. Are you ready for it? This is it. Oh no. There we go. Mastering your awareness of leverage. If you are taking notes, I want you to write that down. Mastering your awareness to leverage, because there is a difference, guys. I want to tell you something that's so true, and it's not easy to say or accept. Leverage is everywhere. We live in the online world. If you go back 50 years, Eddie and I would have had no way to connect. We would never know each other. You guys would never have been on the Zoom call. It would not be something that we know about. 100 years ago, guys, we like marketing is not a thing. Internet marketing is not a thing anyway. There is so much leverage around us. And so the key for you is not actually using leverage. People talk about this all the time, using leverage. The key is actually your awareness to leverage, knowing when there is leverage and when there is not leverage, finding it, making it point out, and knowing when to use it, right? One of my favorite quotes, show me where to stand and I'll move the world. Archimedes, right? It's the guy, Atlas. If you guys have seen it, right? The whole idea is, how do I find pieces of leverage in my business, in the market, in our advertising? That's all direct response is, right? Is finding the leverage point in someone's decision-making process and make it weigh and lean to my side more than anything. Well, here's the thing. Scaling your agency, give me a F in the chat if you feel this, but scaling your agency isn't just about being good at ads or email or creative or design. In fact, you really don't have to be good at any of them. Growing a successful agency comes with learning how to manage team, mastering sales, accounting, managing client relationships, keeping up with changing algorithms and platforms. Guys, if you feel this, understand, put an F in the chat. If you feel this,
I don't
it's
see
hiring.
I don't think anyone's feeling
It's
this, bro.
hiring,
I don't know
bro.
what world these
Creating
guys are living
culture,
in. I
good
want to
client
live in your
experiences,
world.
building brand. Guys, if building an agency is almost like the ads part of it is like what we start out doing it. We're like, I'm so good at ads. I'm so good at X. I'm so good at email. I'm so good at creative that I'm going to do this. I'm going to build an agency. And then you realize that, man, doing the ads is the least amount of things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I'm spending my days being an HR company, being a life coach to my team, being a business coach to my clients. We spend our days realizing that, like, oh man, running a good agency is like spinning all these plates. It's not just about the ad side. It is, man, I have to be good at everything. And that's how you become a good agency owner. It's tough. All while clients and team expect you to solve challenges you've never had to solve before. This is the crux of being an agency owner, a leader, right? This is tough. We're doing all of this stuff all while not only our clients, but our team expect us to know what we're doing at all times. It is tough, especially when you're trying to go to places that no one's ever like showed you how to get there. You guys are growing and dealing with problems no one's ever told you how to deal with before. No one showed you what to do in those situations. It's very, very difficult. Say difficult if you understand. Difficult.
Can I capitalize this one?
Dude, it's difficult.
Full fat period at the
Some
end.
of you right now just Googled how to spell difficult. I do that all the time. Honestly, Google, like if you look at my Google history, it's probably like mostly just random words because I'm like typing it into Google because I'm like, I don't know how to spell that. 100%.
If there's any last questions you guys have, shoot them now or forever hold your peace, at least until we see you next time.
Someone says, curious question. What would you do in terms of daily to do in the next 90 to 120 days to hit 6 figures level without any name, past referrals, or case studies? Wow.
Where's that question? Where's that question? Did I miss it?
It's in the Q&A. It's not in the chat.
Oh, lame. Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Let me answer this chat question real quick because it's blowing up real quick. Yes, if you bought tickets yesterday, Alan, I saw you buy a ticket yesterday. Congrats, bro. You're going to get access to the Summit Series. Any previous ticket holders, you guys are good to go. Don't worry. Once we hash everything out this week and get everyone in the group, we'll run a poll of what dates work best for everyone, and we'll make sure we have the most amount of people we can live at these summits. Super excited for that. Alex asked a question, what should be the hook value prop for the agency selling white label marketing services in the recession? I'll let everyone else answer. Hey, everyone, if you were selling to other agency owners as a white label, what do you think the best place ever to sell other agency owners on a white label service is? Let me just see how smart the remaining attendees. Where would you guys go?
Maybe a room.
Hypothetically.
Phil, if I could find it.
If only there was a room with 200 agency owners in the same spot where I could just talk to all of them and get them to white label be clients. Look, the answer is agency founders, bro. It's not even a question for me. Like you could say, like, you can go in groups and things like that, but like you're just going to be the guy who's trying to poach people in the group. You're going to be DMing people. You're not going to feel good about it. Whereas if you're in a room and everyone's just asking you, what do you do voluntarily? And then you tell them, here's exactly what I do. And they go, dude, I've been looking for someone like that all the time. You will have too many clients coming out of this. If there's anyone that gets the most value, it's you. We're all your clients. You know, we're all sources of traffic for you. Whereas for the rest of us, maybe it may not be as strong of a case. And essentially, we're getting more value out of other things as opposed to like signing a ton of clients at this event. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's go back to this Q&A question because
yeah, what would you do in terms of daily to do in the next 90 to 120 days to hit 6 figures level without any name, past referrals, or case studies? Okay, so first, I guess I can hit this, and then Eddie, if you have thoughts, first thing I would do is go, why do you need to hit 6 figures in the next 90 to 120 days? If you have no past case studies or past referrals or name that you're willing to expose, why do you need to hit that? Shouldn't the first idea be like, can you actually deliver on what you're trying to deliver? But to do that, I mean, aim to have 30 conversations a day in the next 90 days. I guarantee you will find someone that will be willing to pay you money. 6-figure run rate a year, if that's what we're talking about. Yeah, honestly, all you probably need to do is literally talk to 20 to 30 people every day for the next 90 days and you'll be there. Not hard. But I would encourage you to think more strategically. And the best way to do that would be to get around other people who are doing this thing that you're trying to do, which means come to agency founders, join the experience, and you're literally going to get everything you would need to know there. Any thoughts from you, Eddie, on that?
Dude, honestly, for me, that's first of all, I don't know if it's 6 figures a month or 6 figures a year.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it's 6 figures a year with my experience right now, I'll do that, you know, by Monday if I'm starting today. Not trying to be a dick here. I'm just, you know, clarifying that. But what I would do, I would find something that I'm good at. And if I'm just starting out, I would probably take a few different kinds of clients. Like when I first started out, I took lawyers, I took car guys, I took chiropractors, I took car washes, I took gyms. I figured out where I was seeing the most success. And then I basically just took that. You know, within 30 days, I figured out who I was winning with. I took that win. I just started showing it to the people that were like that person. Like, hey, look, here's what I did. I think I can do it for you. No free trial, nothing. It's month to month, $1,500 a month. Are you in or are you out? I'm in. Boom, 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 boom. And how you position is very important. So like when you're selling mill type stuff, like lower retainer stuff, I always do like a one-time fast action bonus type thing where like, you know, it's $3,000 normally. That's what we charge every month. But if you sign up right here on the call, I'll give it to you for $1,800 forever, permanently. It'll never change. It'll never go up. Take it or leave it. And I put pressure. Like you can ask my sales team, like my recordings when I first started, I would sit there like I would sit there after I told them the price and then they had to sign up now. I would make them stay on the call. They would stay for like another hour and a half, calling their wife, calling their business partner. One dude went on the toilet and forgot he was even on camera. And like he was literally on the toilet and I could tell with his other phone he was talking to someone and he's like yelling at his wife at the door of the bathroom. It's disaster. But you got to put that pressure to close on that one call for the lower ticket people and just build like a nice sales demo that tells a story about why you're going to get results. Talk about their problems. This is exactly what you're going through. They're like, duh, that's exactly me. And then you can kind of fill in that gap. So I hope that helps. Is building a personal brand the only way to go high ticket? Absolutely not. It's not the only way to go high ticket, but it is a massive advantage. When I get into a room, not even in the agency space and other rooms, I get in the room and at the first break, I just saw it this last week. I've never been in that conference, never been in that room, don't know anyone in there. After the first break, I had like 7 different people come up to me and be like, hey, dude, we see you on social media. Like, I got some questions. So it definitely provides that value and that status. And the person next to me was someone I was trying to close as a client. And he just saw 7 people walk up to me like I'm Jesus Christ himself. And he literally texted me as soon as the event's over. He goes, let's get started next week. That is a 30 grand retainer every month. So just to give you a perspective of what it can do. So last chance, link is in the chat. I think we've answered every question. There's one more in the Q&As that no one can see. For someone at the idea phase, what will be your advice on what should I aggressively be focusing on? Learning the service that you're trying to provide. If it's Facebook ads, learn it really well. find a few people to play around with and provide them more value than they're paying you. Take those results and go show them to more people just like them, and you'll have no problem getting the stuff down. We have 5+ hours for the price. Yes, Sharon, whenever that timer expires, my dev set it up. Whenever that thing expires, it's done. This page won't exist. You click it, it'll send you to the main page every time. So whenever that timer expires, you're good to go. Just make sure you bookmark the link on your phone or on your computer, wherever you're at, and just make sure you get in before then. If you need to move some money around or whatever the case is, just message me on Instagram. I'll see if I can help. But this page is gone forever in 5 hours, 43 minutes, and 50 seconds as of this time. So
We do accept Dogecoin. I'm just kidding.
not me, baby. I ain't accepting that shit. Take it
Mommy
home.
likes a deal.
But yeah, guys, hopefully this was a huge help. If you guys could just, I know, there's not that many people here. I think there's only about like 40 people here still. If this was helpful, guys, give us a yes in the chat.
Give us
I
a
just wanna
shout
know.
out on Insta. Tag us.
Shout
Agency
us out on
Founders.
Instagram. Don't be shy now. But seriously, if this was valuable, if you guys could just give me a yes in the chat, that's all we need. And we will feel great about this. Rex will email you guys the link in case you guys decide to jump in and haven't got the chance to do that. Sharon, thank you so much. Jimmy, Will, Curtis, Patrick, V, Matt, Holly, Will, Lucas, Jordan, dude, I appreciate you all for showing up, being attentive. Sincerely, give yourself a couple double biceps here. And hopefully we'll see you guys at the event. If you guys got in, we'll give you all the details this week, so keep an eye out. If you didn't, tough, very, very tough luck. You missed.
You can also email me. I might buy your agent. You don't want the ticket, don't worry about it. We might be acquiring some agencies next year. Feel like I'm small, lean.
But we appreciate you guys. Hopefully this was valuable. Thank you for taking the time on a Saturday and being with us. Ciao.
Guys.
Thanks for watching the training, and I hope you got so much value out of it. If you are an agency owner, I have the event of the year ready to go for you here in January, every single year in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Agency Founders, where we bring together the top 7-figure a month agency owners to come speak to you and share the strategies that they're doing over the past 12 months and the next 12 months to keep growing their business. This is information that you're not going to get anywhere outside of this room. These are usually people that don't even post online that much because the information is so valuable and they do not want to share it. But we peel back the curtains on our businesses. We show the numbers. We show exactly how we're getting our clients. We show the operations, and we show everything in between at Agency Founders. This is our 3rd year coming up here in 2024, and we do it every January. So based on when you're listening to this, it's either happening soon or it just happened and you're going to have to wait for the next one. But in both cases, I want you to go to theagencyfounders.com. Link is below the video in the description. Go ahead, learn more about it. And if you're in the agency space and you're serious about making more money, getting past the mark that you're at, whether it's going to 6 figures a month, whether it's going to 7 figures a month, this is the most valuable room, the most valuable network, and the most valuable information in the agency space. I absolutely guarantee it without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. The feedback that we get every year is that that is the case every single time, whether people are making 5 figures a month, 6 figures a month, or even 7 figures a month. And I expect to see you there if you're serious about taking this agency journey to the next level. So go ahead, click the link below at theagencyfounders.com, learn more, fill out the application and apply. And hopefully I see you in the seats. And if I do, please come by, say, hey, me and all the speakers are going to be accessible throughout the 2-3 days there. And I want you to leave there absolutely transforming your life and taking a different direction, not just showing up, taking notes and not doing anything with it. So I'll see you in January in Atlanta, Agency Founders.